Hey everyone, this is Rangadad. This is not financial advice, this is just the way I'm looking at the market. And interesting, Bitcoin's been an absolute powerhouse today. Yeah, surprising we didn't get at least a little bit more of a pullback during the day, I thought. But yeah, we've got some interesting levels to go over today. We'll see if we can figure out where it's going next. I guess starting with actually, I'm going to start with stocks first because that's kind of interesting. Does look like stocks are trying to find a bottom here. At least the indices, Nasdaq and S&P. S&P's up nearly 1%. Nasdaq's up nearly 1%. Pretty good region for a bounce, as we've discussed the last couple of days. This was sort of what we're expecting if we are going to go bull again, and it looks like we are going to go bull again. Sorry, I was just going to try and bring up some dark pool stuff. Crap. Might not be able to get that up in time, but anyway, there was some quite large dark pool transactions in the last couple of days. So typically when they're happening after a big run in either direction, there was some up here, there's some down here. Typically you're going to have a reversal in the market. So that is definitely still on the cards here, coming into some pretty key levels in terms of trend lines and things. We have come back down into this level here, obviously, as well. Didn't go very far into it, and I was kind of surprised we didn't come more into that trend line, but I didn't exactly get super close to it there. So I would actually expect movements similar to this. We could get a V-shaped recovery. That would be ideal. And what I mean by that is this kind of recovery where you come down hard and then move away pretty quickly. They're fairly strong recoveries. And that's kind of what you want to see. A little bit of coiling at the bottom isn't a bad thing to have though. So basically, yeah, looks like we're having a decent day on the market. So I'll just drill into, let's go with the 1 hour. Yeah, it looks like it's just coiling really. S&P 500 on the 1 hour. Actually coming to the 15-minute. Yeah, it's ranging. It looks like it's struggling to break either side, so good recovery of this candle here. That would be probably a vector candle, I would think. It's not even there on the futures. It's this candle here, I believe. Oh, anyway. Not really relevant at this stage, but that was a pretty good move away from this bottom area. We did have vector candles in here. It's come up here, it's recovered these vectors in here. Then it's moved back down, retested the bottom, and then we've moved away and recovered this vector here without any additional vectors needing recovery, really. So at this stage, this here, there's not that much sort of imbalance for it to come back into. So it does seem like it's finding a bit of a base here. Along with the dark pool activity and things, it's suggesting we're pushing higher. The interesting thing, if we go to the daily on the RSP, it's having a good day. So, it's all kind of aligning with what we expected yesterday. It seems like a decent bounce. It seems like just a market correction. Actually, I think, yeah, so we had that support in there for NASDAQ. It looks like it's bouncing off that. Equal weight NASDAQ looks like it's actually bounced as well. So signs are pretty good for the markets overall. That's a big move. Pushed higher in the after hours market. I saw that before I went to bed last night. I was surprised. That was up, well, basically up where it is now, before the open. So that was like a nearly 1.5% move in the after hours market. You don't often see that. I mean, we had it here, but it seems like there's a lot of interest in the Russell still, in the smaller cap stocks, which would suggest we're potentially going into a more of a risk on environment, which would make sense if everyone's expecting lower rates. That tends to be what the market goes towards when there's lower rates. They assume a risk on. When you're at the sort of run up levels we are, and the economy's looking as sick as it is, that run up on the back of lower rates doesn't necessarily last very long, but just because the economy will eventually poop its pants. XLY is finding a bottom as well by the look of that. And look, this could be a dead cat bounce on all these as well, so just be mindful of that. But on the lower time frames, the indices look like they're forming a base. So VIX, oh, that's actually pretty bullish on DJI Gold. Like if we start seeing a run up on this indicator, it would suggest that the economy is expected to push up for a reasonable amount of time yet. VIX, interestingly, whilst everyone was sort of calling for a 20 read on the VIX, and I would prefer to see that as well. The 800 EMA, which we kind of pointed out, seemingly as being a bit of a good resistance point, does seem to have been the trigger for the reversal at the moment. So that's interesting. Skew's still headed down, which is a little concerning. Thought yesterday that this might have been a turnaround on the skew, but no, the skew's still dropping. So that's just, I guess, a bit of a red flag. Let's call it an orange flag. It's not the greatest indicator in terms of picking the turnaround, I would say. But yeah, it's not going the way we would like it to be fully confident in the run up. DAX is pushing up. So this was kind of another good indicator for the US stock market going up. Generally, the German market is strong. The US market's going to find it hard to be weak, if that makes sense. But be looking for a breakout of this wedge in sometime next week, probably. Chinese market looks like it's trying to find a base as well. As we said the other day, this is sort of that critical zone for it to base out of. Probably not a bad average in kind of zone here. I would say taking a little chunk here, and then maybe if it breaks back above this 618 and confirms that as a support level, then chances are it's going on a decent run. Get some more there. China 50 is struggling a little bit still. Treasuries is finding some buys. Still generally working its way up. That's kind of a bear flag too, so interesting. Bonds are still pushing higher, so high yield bonds still suggesting that they are happy with the market where it's at. They're not super scared by any means. And again, the fact that this stayed high after the run up, it suggested that it's more of a correction on the markets rather than a big dump. The yield curve is still inverted, but we had a little bounce. It's kind of to be expected. I think the PCE data, I should have brought that up, but I believe it was slightly elevated. So the risk of inflation coming back is slightly elevated. So I guess that would support a bit of a bounce in this in terms of the 2-year not getting as many sellers as the 10-year. And they're both selling off, but 2-year just slowed down a little bit relative to the 10-year. Copper, yeah, still looks like it's finding a base in that zone that we drew out. So if this does sort of bounce, it would support a general overall bullish sentiment in the market. Gold has had a bit of a bounce off that 50. I'd like to see it clear this range though before I got too excited again. And silver looks like it might be trying to bounce off the 200 EMA region as well. Oil, wow, oil reversed that little bounce there, so maybe it is playing ball. The other thing too is global liquidity is coming back down. So this is not ideal. If we start to get big deviations between global liquidity and the US stock markets, then it just means we are probably going to be in that final leg. At least that's my way of looking at it. Dixie still struggling. I do expect this to drop off. As we said yesterday, it's sort of, if this starts dropping, it kind of allows the stock market to go up a bit easier. Japanese US is still up, so looks like the support that they've given it is holding at the moment. In terms of, yeah, the Japanese want this to come down as far as possible. See how long they can hold it down there. Euro US starting to have a turnaround as well. That's a pretty good sign there. That's kind of supporting the US dollar coming down. Aussie looks like it's trying to find some support here as well. As I said yesterday, it's probably a good time to sell your US dollars for Aussie dollars if you got them. Because this will probably make a pretty decent run up. 4%. Not bad if you're trading on Forex markets. Brazilian, yeah, still similar. Money supply is still going up, so there is general increase in the money supply, which, yeah, not a great thing. Percentage of stocks above the 150-day moving average, sorry, is finding a bit of support here. So we're not seeing that as a big issue. I was worried about the way it was coming down there, but if it finds some support around here, then I'm not too worried. 10,000 ETH just got transferred into Coinbase out of an unknown wallet. So Mag 7, again, just looks like it's finding a bit of support here. Don't be surprised if we sort of get a bit of chop around the bottom here. Maybe just some sweeps of these lows before we actually run back up. Tesla, still struggling with that gap down. Tesla may still come back down quite a bit. That's a big island reversal there. So we got a gap up, gap down. That's never really a good sign. Typically that will lead to further downside. Nvidia finding a little bit of support, but still selling off. I do still expect the Mag 7 to still, for the most part, be corrective. This thing, fucking hell. So RK, yeah, it's still finding some support here. So suggesting risk on is starting to come back in. Apple, yeah, Apple looks like it's trying to turn as well. 3M's been the friggin' winner today. Their earnings must have killed it. Oh, yeah, they smashed earnings. Wow. That's interesting. Up just a mere 23%. People reckon crypto's volatile. Some of these stocks, man. This what's the market cap on this thing? 70 billion market cap, and it's just had a 23% move in after hours. After, what's this? Since March, it was already up 37%. So, yeah, general stock market's moving a bit more than crypto at the moment. Yeah, mate. Well, still coming off lows, but yeah, that's that's actually a really good pattern there too. Really good bottoming pattern. Probably going to find some resistance around this level, I would think, especially after a 25% move, roughly. Anyway, Amazon, similar. I don't worry about the others. AMD, I wanted to check because AMD was not looking healthy. I mean, this is a strange spot to find support here, but yes, it's kind of within this general relatively highly traded zone. So actually, it's I would have called that fairly weak, to be honest, but might find some support here. Might come up and retest this 200, but potentially keep selling off, especially if Nvidia sells off as well. Oh, it's coming into earnings though. That's right. Yeah, Tuesday. Keep an eye out for that one. I think we might actually see a bounce on earnings. Aussie found good support as well, so this is kind of suggesting that the markets have just been through a bit of a correction. Again, I'm sort of relatively bullish on markets in general at the moment, which is funny because I'm actually running shorts on Bitcoin at the moment, which was unfortunate, but So yeah, Bitcoin is coming up to a pretty critical level here. So the top of this channel is a fairly strong one. It has tried to break out of it twice and failed both times. Now, obviously, on the way up through this, you do have a pretty strong horizontal level there as well, or at least a zone. But if we get a good break and retest of this trend line here, and I would expect some sort of consolidation at that level. We need to coil and build up some pressure before breaking through this level. It's going to take a fair bit to break through to the new all-time highs. So wouldn't surprise me at all if we either sort of just came back down in here and coiled for a couple of days, maybe break out in over the weekend on Sunday or something. So something like this would make sense, and then break out, get everyone excited, come back down, get everyone calling it as just a failed attempt or whatever, and then we just shoot straight through. Whether we actually retest this level again, it's potentially going to be on the short time frames. At least to start with, it would not surprise me if we hit 78K quite quickly out of this level. So again, sort of whatever we do in here, we break out, hit 78, come back down. A lot of the bigger players taking some profits and things, and then maybe even coil for a little bit, but then head off to 85, 90 fairly quickly. That is how I would. It's sort of the main way I think it's going to happen at the moment. So, yeah. Oops. Closures above that channel will be interesting. It looks like we're not going to close there today. And once we get down to the smaller time frames, you'll see why. We are still very much in a bullish control on most of these indicators. But if we get many more of these sort of reversal candles up here, then I would be expecting it to come down. Now, where did I start going short? I think my first short actually came in there. I did close out of that one relatively quickly. And then I think I made another one in here, but shorted again there. Could have taken a little bit of profit there, but I let it run. I was expecting it to come more back into these areas. There's a lot of vectors that have been left on reasonably high time frames down in here, which is why it wouldn't surprise me if we got that move back down into this region. We could still go lower too, like a retest of these EMAs wouldn't go astray. Pretty low volume actually. I only just noticed that. Daily volumes are still being pretty low this week. A bit surprising. But the other thing I wanted to point out was stochastic momentum is still in the bullish control zone. And it looks like it may actually tick back up. If we get another up day tomorrow, then stochastic momentum should actually tick back up above the signal line, and you're probably going to see that sort of breakout and coil in this area. Possibly. It may just break straight through too. So it's unfortunate seeing this candle here. I was expecting something like this move here. Typically, when you get a bullish hammer like that, Bitcoin will at least retrace part of it before it moves on. Even this here, it's probably, hopefully it's doing something more like this, so we do get a decent retrace back into it and then a move out. But yeah, it's one of those things with wicks, big wicks on Bitcoin. It does tend to like to come back into them, but you know, if we fail, if we actually go below this wick here, then it is probably going to come back down into that 60K zone too. So just be aware of that. If you're going to trade this, shorter time frames and probably relatively low leverage and a technique of more averaging into your position, I'd probably theoretically you should be favoring longs at the moment as well, mainly because everything's getting bought up. So if I had been looking at things a different way, and the main reason I was going short in here was because we'd already recovered a lot of the vectors. So I was sort of expecting, actually, I think I went short right near the top of that. I was pretty happy with that, and that's why I took a bit of profit there. But I was surprised that it kept running like it did, and that's just what Bitcoin can do sometimes. It just runs and runs and runs when there's plenty of buyers and plenty of sellers for them to run into. So it just kept pushing, and we're at levels now where it's going to take a fair bit to break through this. There's so much resistance up through here. Realistically, that's the only vector they've got left up to 68,500-ish. Haven't got there yet. That's a pretty decent indecision candle we got going on at the moment. But oh shit, should I close the trade that's open? I think we might have hit take profit. Just bear with me a sec. I think the bot, actually, I'm going to monitor the bot a bit more closely at the moment. Apparently it hasn't taken profit yet. Yeah. Ah, you bastard. I was screwing around with it this morning, just seeing if I could get a better outcome if I just canned the US session. It didn't work out that way, just because we had a trade open here and got freaking stopped out there again last night. It doesn't look like it wants to run anyway. Geez, that's still looking strong, eh? There's still a lot of buying support in there. I'm just going to bring in this thing here. And the whole way up, it has, that was one thing that was interesting. And this is becoming a more and more important sort of, chat is working. Hey guys. Yeah, the whole way up from here, I was watching the freaking, sorry for the frickins, but these big orders that were all sitting in here just evaporated, and they were actually moving them up. So this order, this 500 BTC order, looks like it was probably one that was originally down here. There was probably nearly $1,000 worth of BTC orders. Sorry, 1,000 BTC worth of orders in here that are no longer really there. There's a few big ones still, but all the really big ones, the buyers have come in and it's like they've just had a bit of FOMO and moved up with the market. And so there's definitely been buying interest all the way up. And of course, you've got to have the selling interest as well to do that. And that's why it's sort of moved up so far, I think, because there wasn't a huge amount of selling volume, but it's taken most of it. And you got to be careful because these guys that are buying on the way up, unless they're proper hodlers, they will start selling at some point as well. So we moved through some areas that I thought were going to give us some trouble getting through, but it's starting to come back in again now. So in terms of the buyers are starting to hang back. So price will have to come back down into them at some stage. But it's taken out a lot of liquidity, a lot of liquidation levels up there. If I get rid of the order book profile, so we've cleaned up a lot of liquidations, short liquidations. Whether it's had enough or not, or whether it wants to come into here, it'll depend on whether there's still buyers that want to actually buy at this level. And like I thought we were done here, to be honest, but we are starting to see quite a bit of green on the order book here as well. Still the long term is still red though, like 7 days still red, but we've certainly got alignment with 1 day and lower. So it's a bit of a topping signal. I think I am going to close these trades. I'll give it one more candle. But yeah, the order book profile the whole way up has we've had a bit of this sort of stuff the whole way up. So there's someone that's been following it most of the way up as well with big orders, and they are moving it as the price changes. Someone in there that seems to not want to miss out on a push higher. They want to buy relatively soon, thinking it's going to go up, but they don't want to pay a premium. It's kind of funny to watch, actually. But yeah, there's a few pretty big orders in there now. 500 BTC above. I wonder if that's old mate that got his buy filled here. 549. Where was that? Yeah, 500 even. There's a couple like this. 2,000 in BTC just sitting at that level as well. Looks like they've come in after that wick to the upside. Interesting. 300 BTC to OKEX. Yeah, expecting a top somewhere around here. I have averaged in to my short again this morning, so I'm not going to hold that one for a super long period. Probably I'll take profit somewhere around the 65,800 mark. I think from memory it is. Yeah, this hasn't taken any profit yet. What's my average entry? 67. So yeah, 65 is where I've put my take profit at the moment. So yeah, that I got some limit orders in here as well. I'll probably readjust them as we start coming down, but I'll probably wait till I see a decent turnaround or a strong support zone come into play before I start buying in again. just because the general market's pretty up and down at the moment. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat. BTC so bullish, going up. That's obvious retest of high for BTC. Pull up an RSI. Yeah, RSI is kind of a. I'm not a huge fan of RSI, but huge cup and handle. Yeah, I was looking at the cup and handle scenario. Cup and handles aren't a pattern that plays out a hell of a lot of the time. And we haven't really got a decent handle here at the moment. If we look at it on the longer time frames, let's look at, you could look at it as potentially a cup and handle in this area, but again, a proper cup and handle, you would expect to actually come up to that level or a bit above even, then come back into here somewhere and then go. So yeah, I mean, it's a similar pattern and this is a bullish pattern at the moment. Invalidation of it as a bullish sort of cup and handle pattern would be for it to trade somewhere below this level here. So looking at patterns is one thing, looking at the invalidation and actually making sure that the pattern confirms first before you actually get into the trade is pretty important. Yeah, I'm thinking this is looking like a bit of a topping pattern at the moment. I would like to see it come back up, recover that wick a little bit more, but it looks like it's pretty set on going lower at the moment. So, what do we got? What price is the big purple node at? It was. Fuck, I hate this. They need to improve this by when you run your mouse over the freaking levels, this display comes up in the bottom corner as a fixed panel rather than just coming up under your mouse because it's a pain in the ass. So 68,200 roughly, so just above where we're at. And when these orders, the bigger orders, start coming closer to the price, and the price moves away from them, you know that your buyers are sort of exhausted. The buyers just don't want to go into that area. And that's when you can be pretty confident you're actually starting to at least top. And it might only be short term, but that's when you got to be careful as you come down and pick up this extra liquidity. Does it sort of come back through and does it close through these key levels on the actual price action? So this is just a confluence thing to be used with price action. It's really not not something you would necessarily trade on its own. I mean, I know there's order book traders and stuff out there, people that trade the tape. They're just looking at where the orders are coming in and the size of the orders and stuff. But I think a combination of price action and order book is a good thing. Topping candle for a bear trap. Yeah. You don't reckon we'll see 66K? Yeah, maybe. I'd be surprised. This guy would tend to argue with you as well. He's pretty confident you'll see 60K, but not 66K. But you know, Bitcoin will, on the shorter time frames, does like to come back in and just break the spirits of the people that are going long, particularly in this area up here. If you're going long in this area up here, you've got some significant balls, but you got to have the patience to sort of wait for a proper consolidation. And look, this is a pretty decent consolidation, so we may not get back below this level, but I can almost guarantee we're at least going to come back down into this 66,800-ish. I would be very surprised if we leave that. that wick there without testing it. And at that point, what are you going to be looking at? You're going to be looking at price below the 50. So it might come down here, come back up into the 50 EMA, and then you may actually get a move further down to pick up some of the liquidity in here. You're going to, I think we'll probably find some support at least around the 800 EMA though. So I definitely wouldn't be holding any shorts beyond that in the short term. And it's probably not a bad time to start averaging into longs. So when I'm doing trades like this, where I'm just sort of averaging into shorts or longs, I'm tending to do them after big runs on the 15-minute at least. Looking at the longer term timeframes, obviously, and you're sort of building at key levels. So when you're getting overextended compared to EMAs and things like that, when you're getting at double topping type areas, that's when you they're the good points to average in. But you got to be careful with shorts when Bitcoin's like this. Like I'm not hugely positioned and I'm not hugely leveraged either. I think I'm doing it on 15x leverage. Probably should be doing it on 10x leverage, to be honest with you, but I'm maximum 10% per trade, and I'll typically only go the first two might be reasonably close together, like sort of I think one of them was around here somewhere, the next one was up here, and then I waited until I saw a decent double topping sign to get in just here this morning. And I won't go short again if this doesn't get below here and actually confirm below here, probably over the weekend. I will just stop this trade out and take the hit, and then just wait for a confirmation in either direction out of this range, basically. So that's a pretty big engulfing candle there, which is unfortunate. I think wait and see what it does. Hopefully we don't get a candle like this, but hopefully we get more of just a retrace, retest of this sort of level, and then a move away from it, at which point I'll close out that long that opened on the bot. Yeah, I may even just pause it overnight while I can't watch it. I think that's probably going to be the best way to run the bot at the moment. Just to avoid these shitty turns that it's doing on us. Did it not calculate? All right. I think that's about it for today. Nothing. You're in ETH at the moment. Yeah, you are the only person in here. Where are we? Hedge your position. I'm the only person in here. I'm in ETH at the moment, looking for 3,600 ETH short term for small profit to flip into XRP. Why? Going into XRP, eh? I couldn't be fucked with XRP. It's not moving that much. If I was going to trade altcoins at the moment, I'd probably be more trading Sol, just because it's got the interest and it's got the moves on it at the moment. XRP, yeah, it's probably coiling ready to go up at the moment, but just this choppy shit. And then you get moves like that just completely retrace. Yeah. Sol's actually trading pretty technically lately, and the moves are still pretty big on it when it does. as we said back in here, that 187, 188 still our target. I think it's probably going to break through. Like, if Bitcoin breaks through this channel, I would expect Sol to break through. Sol's actually been leading the way lately too. So even if Sol breaks through first, then I would actually expect Bitcoin to follow. 3% move on Bitcoin today. That's typically about as much as you get. For the most part, you get bigger days, obviously, but not on the volume that we've got. You wouldn't expect more. Matic looks like it's forming a base, getting ready to run. Same with Doge. Litecoin's been interesting. Yeah, I'd be trading some of these more than I would. XRP. BNB's been in a freaking range for ages. This, the Wyckoff guys would be thinking this actually looks like a distribution at the moment, which would suggest a 397 BNB, but I don't think that's going to play out. Not unless we see some significant risk off in the wider markets. FTM might be finding a bit of a base. How's Flow going? Flow was smashing it the other day. Yeah. Choppy. Had a good run up on that day and then reversed it all. So things like Quant too. I think Quant's primed for a breakout. There's a lot of these altcoins that look like they're forming a base at the moment, which realistically that's a really good good sign for the markets overall. So yeah, I think that'll probably do us for today, but this trend line in here is going to be a key one to watch, I think. And it is definitely a strong one, as was this level in here, as it turns out. Like, that was a massive move for that candle to recover all the way back up. That's super bullish, but it just, I was expecting a bit of a retrace into there, so kind of got caught in these shorts, but I'm not super unhappy about them at the moment. And yeah, I could hedge my position, but I'm trading coin margin futures, and I tried to hedge one before and it freaking closed closed the trade in the opposite direction and opened a new one. So I got to make sure I got the right settings, but I don't know that Bybit actually lets you hedge coin margin futures, which is not fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of why I've gone with the averaging in instead. All right, that'll do for today. Catch you later.